Hi, I'm Paulette. This is for my speech class 1350. My motivation speech is going to be about grit. Grit. Grit stands for growth, resilience, instinct, and tenacity. Grit, according to Dr. Paul Stokes, is our capacity to dig deep to do whatever it takes, especially struggle, sacrifice, and even suffer to achieve your most worthy goals. Well, my most worthy goal is to go to heaven. But for today's speech, I'm going to talk about my story and my educational journey. My educational journey starts in 1992 when I was 17 years old. And I graduated high school and immediately went to college. For some time in college, I met my future husband, got married, and became a young mother and wife. About this time, I was 19 years old. So I decided to put college on hold for a while and decided to go back to school later. Well, 4 months after I had my first son, we had a surprise. Our second son was born. I was pregnant with my second son. So I decided to put college on hold then and said to focus on being a good wife and mother. And in 1997, after trying to go to school and with 2 children, I decided I'll stay home and homeschool my children. So over the next 10 years, I homeschooled my children. And in 5th grade, they went into public school for the first time. During that time in 2007, I decided to go back to college. I went to school that year, did great, ended with a 4.0, but by the end of that semester, my husband had lost his job. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to finish school. I had to go into the workforce to help my husband and my family. And at that point, I decided maybe I'll never be able to finish school. You know, I'm getting older now, and I didn't know if this dream was actually plausible. After a few years of working in the workforce, I decided I would go back again. And as soon as I decided to get the paperwork in order and try to find my financial aid and get everything done, my husband lost his job again. This is about 10 years later, and it's now 2011. So in 2011, I went back into the workforce. And the whole time I was there thinking about, I want to become a teacher. And I want to inspire children and work in early childhood. So I found a job and working in the Mother's Day Out program, which I loved, and while still homeschooling my children. After that time, I graduated high school in 2013. 2013 came around, and I decided, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? I've been a wife and mother at home, taking care of my children all this time, which I loved, and I devoted all my time to them, but I decided it may be time for me to kind of go back to school and do what I really want to do and achieve some of my goals. But now in 2013, I'm 39 years old, and I was thinking, I don't know if I'll be able to compete in the classroom with children, with people half my age, and be able to do as well in the classroom. So it took me a while, a lot of prayer, and looking at other people who had achieved those goals. A couple moms who were single mothers who went back to school and was able to do well. Another mom was in her late 40s and went back and got her doctor's degree and became a psychologist. And another one was in her 50s. She was a widow and went back to school and had a whole new career. And I said, these women can do it, so can I. So I got the courage to want to finally go back to school. But in 2014, I got sick and had a 12-day hospital stay. Had an infection that took over my body. The doctor never did find out what it was. After doing that hospital stay of 12 days, after the hospital stay of 12 days, I had a 3-month recovery period. And during that time, I became depressed because I kept thinking to myself, every time I wanted to do something for myself, it seemed like something happens. I said, maybe it's not God's will. Maybe I should take a different route for my future. But I kept thinking, it had to be His will for me to use my talents in the way that I should and be able to please Him at the same time. So it took me a while to get to the point to have the faith and the courage to finally realize that I can achieve this goal. I needed some time. I had to figure out how I was going to be able to do it, but I knew I was going to try to be able to achieve this goal. So after much prayer and talking to people who were supportive and people who told me, you can do this, look at me, you know, I decided that I would go back to school. So in 2016 fall, I finally enrolled into Lone Star College and working on my social arts and teaching. And during that first semester, I worked 4 jobs, literally. I was a full-time nanny. I tutored after school 2 days a week after I left my nanny job. Another 2 days a week, plus Saturdays, I also worked at cleaning office buildings. And my 4th job, I worked with children, foreign exchange students. So I literally had 4 jobs, and I went to school that semester, and still did well that semester. Got a 3.5, wasn't happy about the B, but I was still happy that I did it. And I told myself, you know, I can do it. You know, I'm not smarter than I thought I was. You know, and with God's help, anything is possible. But by the end of at the end of that semester, it was really hard. It was a lot of stress, you know, and it took a toll on my body. And so that January of this year, 2017, I ended up in the hospital again. And I said, but this time, I wasn't going to be defeated spiritually. I decided, with the help of my boys, to push back my education to late start classes. So my classes started in March instead of starting in January. They were all online, and it was really hard that semester. There were days I could not get out of the bed. I had people bringing meals to help me out. My church family was very supportive in that way. I was on medication. I couldn't drive. I had to be taken to doctor's appointments. But I persisted and persevered through all of that because I was determined to finish what I started. And then in that semester, I was able to make a 4.0 before the summer started. And with the grace of God, I know that that was possible. This summer, I went on to summer. By that time, I was more independent. I was driving to school and decided to take school in class, in person, which before that point I was kind of nervous about because I'm a lot older than the rest of the kids. But I did really well this semester, met a lot of great people. And in this fall, I was able to enter to honors college, was able to be accepted to the honors program at Lone Star College. Also, I was able to be in Phi Delta Kappa, which is an honor society at Lone Star College. And on top of that, with the honors program, I was able to do an undergraduate research. And only a few people chosen to actually present their research in person. And I was one of the few who was chosen to do that research in person. And I say all that not to brag, but to say that anything is possible and don't give up on your goals. It doesn't matter about your age, it matters about your grit. My growth was that I came from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. My resilience, I decided to persevere no matter what the obstacle was in front of me. I decided to be resilient. My instinct was that I found the best way to achieve my goals. What was the smartest way for me to achieve my goals? And that's what I went about doing. And my tenacity, which means the degree to which you persist, commit to, stick with, relentlessly go after whatever you choose to achieve. And I believe with tenacity, anybody and everybody is able to achieve their goals. Thank you for listening.
Very good. Yay.
That's not even half of what I was going to say.